it's always a struggle. I mean, it's always work, and I'm never totally happy when I'm painting. It's just it's a struggle. Being creative doesn't come easily. You've got to just fight through the pain barrier. It sounds a bit corny saying that, but it is a struggle. And I mean, this isn't going terribly well, but at least I'm doing it. And talking to you guys at the same time frees part of my brain from angst. So it's kind of, this is just, I'm not feeling any pain right now. I'm just putting on paint. And it's okay. It's quite satisfying. But I'd rather be fishing or playing tennis, frankly. But getting a good result is very pleasing. Getting a painting that you go home with from somewhere like Orlock. Wow, that's a nice green I'm sticking on now. I just enjoy bucking on colours like this. I mean, it's a good feeling.
One of the things I kind of don't truly understand in the painting world is valuation. What's your opinion on like how paintings are valued, the relationship between its artistic merit and its monetary kind of value? If you could explain in general how that works in the art world, and then and then in your opinion, is it always cohesive, the artistic merit and the value of a painting?
Wow, I'm liable to say something outrageous. The art market, I mean, it's kind of crazy. You get people with lots of money paying silly prices for a work by someone like Klimt, which I think is just a designer rather than a painter, and it's just kind of distorted horribly. I think there are a lot of people out there who paint really well who are not getting recognition or even making a living, who deserve such. And there are people selling paintings for silly amounts of money, living artists quite often, who are sucking up that potential income of ordinary artists and working in studios and trying to make a living. I think my prices are reasonably modest and just enough to get a reasonable living or good living. And it's unjust, the system, the gallery system, I do believe.
Audience capture. Someone might make something and it seems to do well, and then they'll try something different and then it doesn't do so well. How do you balance artistic expression with commercial demand? The balance between doing it because you're an artist and this is expression versus this is something that might fit in well and potentially sell.
Okay, I have to kind of ignore any commercialism. I just paint for myself, which has been lucky. I don't paint pets or portraits or I just paint what I want. And luckily people have come to my studio and taken away the old painting and given me money, which is great.
Do you find that certain paintings do better than others in regards to demand, or do you feel like people just like it because it's you and it seems to be...
No, it varies. I think, I'm often surprised by people who will be attracted by a certain kind of painting, something that's maybe grittier or more abstract. I sometimes put my best paintings, dare I say, away in the cupboards, like good wine. Sometimes people are attracted to a different, more severe, painting with more strength.
Yeah.
I tend not to sell or try to sell everything, so I keep stuff back. And some of this is from way back, like from art college. When we used to paint in hardboard, cheap stuff. And that's a wrestler who was a life model at the art college in College Green in Belfast, 1965 or so. So, yeah, we did this for hours, drew from life, and it has stood me in good stead because you need a lot of serious groundwork. And that's one of our fellow students, Margaret McCord, as was, who posed for us one evening. And yeah, I scrounged some house paint from the guys painting the windows at the art college because paint was expensive. And this is just white house paint, which just gives it a really, as you can see, a very creamy, slippery texture. But it meant that I could paint with fluency and speed. So I tucked things away in here, like that's you may know that guy. That's John Hewitt. I was commissioned to paint him by the Lyric Theatre a long time ago, 1980, and I kept this one because I did quite a few studies of him. I've done portraits just for myself. That's Michael Longley, whenever he was a youngster, about 40 or so. Very sculptural head. I do like that. This is a writer called Roger McHugh. I was commissioned to paint him years ago, and I kept this one. I don't much like doing portraits because maybe I'm contradicting myself, because it's quite demanding. You got to please the sitter and the people commissioning you. I'd rather just paint for myself. These are paintings I did in the 80s on board, because I guess you got to think of the expense, and in those days I wasn't able to afford money for canvases, so I just painted on cardboard, which is good quality stuff and it's stood the test of time. But I did lots of these, and it's good to have them. I'm not sure what I do with them.
There's certain things that art can do that can't be verbally explained. So do you believe that there's an intangible quality that just certain painters have? The metaphysical kind of part of it?
I think inevitably, yeah. That's a special quality, a kind of something that's underlying and mysterious. And the best art will have that. I mean, someone like Cézanne or Matisse will have that quality, whereas someone, I'll not mention any names. I've been told by my wife not to mention names.
It's all good. It's all good. We can use our imagination.
I don't have that property. Yeah.
Has there been paintings that surprised you, or maybe reverse paintings that you expected would get a bigger reaction but didn't?
Wow. I guess that's a big question. I don't know about that. So, there are. If I go to paint a picture and I have something in my mind, like the previous painting or one I did successfully a month ago, that can just stymie my creativity. I can realize that I'm trying to reproduce something, so I've got to forget about that and start afresh every time. And I guess there have been times when a painting has surprised me by the sheer exuberance of it, and the fact that I've taken risks and it's worked. Yeah. Yeah, it's all a bit random theme wise. I sometimes sit down and paint a bowl of lilies right on the table here, but I don't feel so good about myself when I'm painting flowers, because I'd just rather be painting something more solid. But I do it because I enjoy the colour of the lilies or the roses or whatever. And why not? I mean, yeah, why not? But it's also nice to use a long-handed brush the way the real artists do. And I put paint on, as you can see, with a bit of feeling. Don't really take my time. I just put it on, let it be, rather than make it do things it doesn't want to do. But I'm always just changing things and working through. And sometimes things work, sometimes they don't. It's good quality paint. Michael Harding paint is worth getting because it's very intense and it goes a long way and it covers. I use a palette knife, as you can see occasionally, which is quite good for big gestures and changing the quality of the paint. I mean, yeah, I don't paint in a corny sort of way with a palette knife. Because there are people who use it a bit like a butter knife. I try not to do that. So I paint quite vigorously. Someone described my technique as it was a poet, it might have been a guy called John Morrow. He said I sort of fence with a painting, which is a nice image, especially when I use a big palette knife. So this isn't going terribly well, but it's getting there.
Your understanding of art and what you do, how has it evolved over time? Your relationship with painting and artistic expression, from the beginning of your career until now, at this point.
Evolution. I guess things just stay the same. My feelings about painting are much the same as they were when I was at art college. I can still remember creating paintings there, and it's the same kind of input, and this hopefully the same kind of reaction. I'm just pleased that at my age I'm still doing work that pleases me, and it gets a good reaction. I had the compliment of someone saying to me that they didn't realise that the painting they saw was by a person of my vintage, which kind of pleased me.
Has there ever been a moment where you went an extended period of time without painting, or has it always just been there, a constant?
Oh, pretty well a constant, yeah. As always, if I don't paint, I don't feel too good about myself. I guess self-esteem and turning out a good painting. Inevitably, you are where you are, and it soaks in the light and the ambience. So you just get on with it. You have to face, I believe, some sort of crisis in a painting, and you can sense that often when you look at a painting by some of the masters, or whereas some painters you can see that just ho hum, this is what I do next, and I don't enjoy that terribly. There's one or two in here that I've kept back. I did a series of skull paintings. That was a human skull I borrowed off a medic. I had it in the studio for a few months, and I did a series of paintings.
That was a real human skull?
Yeah, I felt a bit guilty having it in the studio, but it's a nice thing to paint, and that's one of my favourite paintings of the skull. But I could have sold that many times, but I decided to keep it. Oh yeah, that's I think that's just a goat, or maybe a cow skull. I like the shape of skulls.
Yeah. Is there what's the difference between painting something that once had life, now is dead, versus something that's just an object? Does it bring out more creative kind of inspiration, or
there's probably less tension in painting something that's deceased as opposed to a live model, or I still paint models from a model. This is these are fairly random. That's just one I've salted away. it's got glass on it. I took most of my glass out some years ago because, well, I didn't much like the reflections. I think that might be museum glass, which is non-reflective and slightly more expensive. I don't know. Yeah. So I painted this chain at Anamakerrig, where I was in residence for a while, and it was a big old rusty chain in a derelict cottage in near Bowler's Head, and I stuck it on a table in front of the sea, and enjoyed painting it. But I wanted to bring it home, but I couldn't do that because it was kind of like, I felt like it had a history, and it was right where it was in the corner of a ruin. I have a lovely old VW camper van which is 50 years old, and I drive that around somewhere like Orlock, where I paint rocks, or down Cypress Avenue. The most recent one I did in Cypress Avenue. I'm not totally pleased with it, but every time I look at it, I feel I might do something different and change it. I might make this a heavier tree. It looks like it's two trees here, but I might make it into one. And I might work in this area of patchy light. See how it goes. Yeah. And this is a recent painting of my model, or a model. I wasn't be possessive and say my model, because it's just a person who comes and poses occasionally. Not totally pleased with it, but then again, I rarely am satisfied totally with the painting, which keeps me on my toes. Yeah. So there you go. Painting has been good to me in as much as it's been my passport to a good life. I was a young lad living in Tocomona in the old days, in aluminium houses after the war, and I got the qualifying, so-called, in those days, and much to the surprise of my teachers, and that was a passport to grammar school. And then painting has just kept me clothed and living fairly well, and it's kind of surprised me because I didn't expect to be respected or having any kind of status as a painter, and it's been pleasing and rewarding.